everyone. It's another session of followers, but it's not followers, it's distractions. And Woodward made the mistake today, so now I'm all flipped around, and it's all Woodward's fault.
What?
Wait, what? No, what? You messed up. You messed up you messed up the name. You did it.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Woodward messed it up, so now I messed it up.
No.
Yeah, but
No,
I'm
no.
in the lead again now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you were in the lead before, but now you're in the lead even harder now.
No, we're still exactly where we were now.
Okay, we're getting off track.
Good
There was a track?
morning. No, there's no track, because then I'd be railroading you, and I'm not going to railroad you, so no, there's no track.
Okay.
So, the morning rises, you all have breakfast. There's a drunk Silicus on the ground outside.
Who made breakfast?
I'm guessing Korax because he's in the kitchen.
Sure.
I imagine
Thank you
Cicada and Isabel are asleep on the couch.
Thank you for making breakfast.
On the subject of Scree, as you guys are eating, he will approach you all and then say, I think I'm gonna go and see the world.
Okay, have fun.
Are you sure? Are you sure you're gonna be okay?
He's
mean-
fine. Look at him.
I'm safer than I was out in there, so I just wanted you all to know that thank you. And if you ever need help, I will try to be there to help out.
Okay. Before you go, here, she hands him a map of her own making.
Oh, thank
of
you.
the world.
This would be actually helpful. Thank you.
And whenever you read it, you'll think of us, right?
Yes. He reaches into his half moldy pockets and then pulls out a rock and hands it to Cicada. Here.
Thank you. I'll treasure it.
He nods. Well, good luck with things. I'll see you around.
You know where to find us, dear, if you ever need something.
I mean, he has flies. That kind of makes it difficult, but yes, I do.
She kind of rolls her eyes. She points at her head. I'm pretty sure you'll figure it out, dear.
Right. Take care.
You too, Scree.
He walks over to Charlotte briefly and then says, "You're awesome." And then
What?
he starts walking. Well, see ya.
You're awesome. Bye.
Take care.
And with that, Scree heads out into the world.
And he dies 5 minutes later.
No.
Real quickly, I do say telepathically to him, don't eat anybody.
Yes. I won't.
Okay.
What was Scree replying to? Glora asks. Because I
Just
said
reminding-
Scree.
Just reminding him that here you don't need to eat people anymore.
Okay. That's a good reminder.
Or at least, hopefully, maybe I'll figure it out. I hope.
I hope he has amazing adventures.
There's still dangers even in this realm, but at least they're not as bad as what we went through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte. You watch as Cricket grabs Silicus by the leg and then Rango grabs her by the arm, and then Cricket begins to pull, and her body begins to stretch.
Huh.
What is this cartoon logic?
This defies
Korak
everything.
is
Every single
resolutely ignoring
science. This defies every scientific possibility I could think of, so I'm gonna ignore this.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Do you go in to have breakfast?
Sure, I'll walk inside to have breakfast after that.
You all
Hey,
hear
Charlotte.
a sudden, and then you all hear the sound of solicitors going, "Okay, bye. I'll be back later."
What?
Jezebel kind of makes a face and she goes, maybe you should go check on your mother, dear? She says, glancing to Cora.
Clara pokes her head out of the door. What
Yeah.
happened?
Your mother wanted to go on a slingshot ride.
You missed it, Charlotte.
No idea. I can pretty much guess what happened at that point.
It's like,
Clara's
oh,
trying to
alright.
process this information. How did she go for a slingshot ride?
She stretched.
We can stretch?
He nods. And he begins to walk over and he moves to grab your arm.
She's going to let him for the moment.
Cricket.
Jezebel raises an arm. Not at the table, please. We are eating.
They're outside. The door
Okay,
is
that's-
open.
I'm going to close the door
Thank you.
As
and
you
lock it.
As you close the door, you see Cricket also walk over and grab Clara's other arm.
Clara
What
is just
about the window?
curious. Clara is just being curious at the moment and letting them do it.
And then
Charlotte just wants to eat some fucking cereal.
you're eating. And then
I know.
you stretch.
Interesting.
It kind of
Okay,
feels
that's
like,
weird.
if I had to describe it, it kind of feels like you're being pulled by two people. Not in a painful way, but you do feel them pulling you.
Clara's like,
It is.
strange. I'm gonna go back to eating breakfast.
They let you go, and you slam back into the center with a pop. The door is locked.
Well, that was
Yeah.
strange. Oh. Clara knocks on the door.
We're leaving it locked, right?
Yes.
Cicada goes over to the door.
No.
Korax, hold
Shoot.
person, hold person.
Old person.
What?
That's a wisdom save, I think.
Cicada, please make a DC saving throw. You just
You-
fail.
You do realize that we're gonna have to go out that door eventually, right?
I can stall, and she picks up Cicada and puts her back on her chair.
She's just frozen in place now.
And then I slap my face and I just snap my fingers and release you.
You all watch as a second door forms right here.
Oh,
I locked that one
Thank you.
before. I locked that one too.
It doesn't have a lock.
Curses.
Why don't you guys lock me out? I haven't finished breakfast yet.
Don't worry about
You
it.
heard we when you went out and did that.
Apparently, it was kind of strange, but it was okay.
Cicada
what
goes
hap-
to unlock.
Charlotte wonders a bit what happens when we put Chlora through a taffy machine.
No.
The other door vanishes once Chlora gets through, by the way.
Magic.
Jezebel kind kind of sighs as she just shakes her head. She goes, "It's too early for this, dears."
That's why I locked the door.
That too, dear. That was quite childish, so I won't lie.
Why did you freeze me?
Because you were going
too.
to unlock the door.
But I heard knocking on the door. I was gonna open it for them.
And the knocking was bait to lure us into the horrible trap of seeing more of that.
Yeah.
Didn't mean you had to cast a spell on her. You could have asked her just to wait or not open it.
I did, and she went to open it anyway.
By the
Cool.
way, Korax, this breakfast tastes so much better than the previous ones I've been having as of late.
Who's been making your previous ones? I asked, knowing full well I'll regret the answer.
I think Mom? Though I'm not entirely sure they were breakfasts. Proper.
Okay, are there any locks in this house? Like you just loose locks?
Not really, because it was all made by Cricket. What use has he got for locks?
I'm gonna go outside, back to my workshop now. You guys have a good day.
Okay.
As you head outside, you see Cricket and Rango just looking at the fish in the pond. They seem to be discussing some additions.
Oh boy.
So, don't want to know what that is even. What are we doing next? I've honestly quite lost the plot at this point.
You guys were flying towards the Kitsune village.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
We're going to try to catch up with Foxy's dear grandfather again.
Oh, Nate.
Okay. Right, okay, now I remember.
Yeah, you guys
Even though he
landed.
told us,
Well, go on.
even though he told us not to follow him.
Technically, we are not quite following him. Deswell says with a bit of a cheeky grin. Besides, I'm going to check on somebody dear to my family.
Oh yeah, Riva.
So,
Indeed.
you guys actually landed early in the morning, but you guys wanted to have, breakfast first. So you guys can head out whenever you want.
Okay.
As for you, Charlotte, you watch as
Yes.
Cricket snaps his fingers and a fish that seems to be almost sawed in half. Well, no, it's not sawed in half. It's like two fish that have been put together. If that makes sense. Like they're attached to the tail.
Okay.
They're not
This is
they're not
interesting.
they're not damaged or, macabre in any way. They're just two fish attached to each other.
Okay.
And they have a
Siamese
bird-like appearance.
A bird-like appearance.
Mm-hmm. They appear to be flying fish.
I'm going to my workshop now. You guys have a good day.
They nod at you.
Well, Deswell sighs for a second, and then she looks over to Ryu. She goes, "So, Foxy, mind if I ask how long it's been since you've been home?"
I'd say I'd been away, for over a month before I met you all.
So that would be like almost a year.
I know. I wonder. I'm sure a lot's changed.
Any other family besides grandfather?
Well, well, there's mom. Uh, let's see.
It's a fairly close-knit community. There's most kitsune in the area just stay in their fox form, but some do stay in a more humanoid form and live in houses there.
You'll know when we're. You'll see for yourselves when we get there.
Elizabeth taps her chin for a second. She goes, and you wouldn't happen to see, well, you have been living there your whole life, though. Ever seen Eric Crocker pass by?
You would have, Ryu. Though you didn't think much of it at the time because you were still fairly young. But an Arakokra has come to the village to visit one of the older kitsune.
Now that you mention it, when I was a kid, there was an Arakakra that would visit the village, that would come to visit one of the elders.
Ah, so then that means you might have seen her now and then.
Maybe.
When Lady Rua is old enough, she always goes off on her own to do investigations or help out friends when she can. Don't know about the kitsunes exactly, since her main focus is usually steel dragons. Well, mine usually is as well, since that's her request for me.
Turns out, if my family really is connected to the steel dragons, then maybe the kitsune and the steel dragons, and both the kitsune and the steel dragons, and they're connected to one another, or more than we think.
Well, that's kind of a given, Foxy, she said with a bit of a shrug. Because don't forget Kakura. Kakura was actually friends with Lady Rura. And Mira, she's told me stories about him, and all her other comrades before. So I wouldn't be too surprised, although the concern mostly is your grandfather, and what we're going to do with him.
Well, I don't know. All I know is whatever's going on, it concerns my home. So of course I'm going to be there.
Well, no need to fret, dear. She does a bit of a reassuring smile. Although she does, then she casts a look to Ryu's behind. We probably should also ask a little bit about those. She points to his tails.
What's there to ask? This is what happens. This is what happens as a kitsune grows.
You get more tails?
Yeah, you haven't noticed?
I
mean,
have noticed.
I have as well, but she gives a bit of a scripted look. Let's just say the story that Dear Clara has, that we read about, maybe isn't anything to worry about. No, because in the storybook, it says that having so many tails is usually considered a bad thing. But I don't know if that's just an exaggeration, or maybe it's because you're going to hit puberty soon.
It could be because us having more tails made you a more valuable target back during the fox hunts. Remember, they were
Okay,
after our tails most of all.
Okay, just sorry to interrupt, but all of a sudden, Cicada is suddenly taken aback. Crikey is on the table, by the way. The cricket. The tiny cricket pet.
No pets on the table, please, Isagura.
Sorry, I thought I heard a voice all of a sudden.
Hey, and did you get a weapon that started talking to you too?
No, but I think it had something to do with, you know, that other world and us getting mutated and me hearing voices from insects. She looks down at Crikey again.
Its antenna
Jezebel
twitches.
blinks. Jezebel blinks and looks to the cricket. She goes, "Oh, it seems you might have gained something else besides just mutations. That might actually become handy."
I guess. I'm still getting used to this though.
Well, it's not anything offensive, Jezebel says, grinning to the cricket.
Eh. But yeah, I can hear I can hear you, Crikey. Oh my goodness. You don't have to speak so loudly.
Jezebel then looks back to Rio. She goes, "Quick question though. Has anybody in your family that you know of had more than, say, 5 tails?"
I think we had this conversation before, but for confirmation, Lala.
It's pretty rare because most kitsune don't become adventurers, so their power doesn't really grow except by age. However, your mother does indeed. I believe she has. If I remember right, she has 9 tails because you were looking for someone with 10 tails that one time. If I remember right.
My mom's a QB. She has 9 tails.
Ooh, that is definitely rare. Ooh, not only will I be able to see the Darura, but an actual 9 tails. Ooh, this will be a fun visit.
I wouldn't draw too much. Draw too much focus on our tails, though. We're really sensitive about that, because you know.
Oh, I know, she says with a teasing grin right at him.
Speaking of which, Cicada, could you detect magic?
Yeah, I can. Can detect magic at will.
Anyone's crying on us?
No, not at the moment, no.
She shakes her head no.
Well, okay,
well,
good.
We may want to keep a weather eye out. We could, otherwise, we could be eating those two pricks right to your home village.
Oh. Okay.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But
Meanwhile,
if we're not being scryed, I'd like to take this opportunity. I'd like to take this opportunity to hand all of you these, and he starts passing around these small wood carved necklaces with with symbols on the front.
Oh, gifts? How sweet.
These are charms that that Kitsune only hand out to the most trusted of outsiders. Yeah, as long as you keep them on their person, your person, no one will ask any questions. And I put a spell, and there's a spell on them, so my people know they're authentic.
Shrugs
Thank you.
and hangs around her neck.
Clara considers as well. Does it have any contingencies for being stolen?
Easy, dear. Don't let it get stolen.
Well,
Pretty much.
Well, even with those as few people as there are that actually have those charms, even fewer still know how to actually get into the village.
Okay.
So basically, VIP passes. Noted. She puts hers on and then asks for you. Can I have Charlotte's? I'll make sure she gets hers.
Would you? I'd appreciate it.
Sure. And then from there we can head out. I am most eager to find Lady Vera.
Oh man. Meeting another bird folk. Yes.
Jezebel grins. She goes, "We've been watching over Lady Vera for quite a while. She's very sweet and works very hard. It's the reason why me and my brother." She kind of frowns a bit when she automatically said her brother. Sighs to calm down. It's why we dedicated to helping her out.
Okay. Oh, so then
I'm going.
Cicada looks down back at Craigie and she's blushing.
She will take Charlotte's charm, go over to the door and knock on it. Charlotte, dear, are you in there?
Necker, you're muted.
Charlotte is nowhere in the room.
So I knocked, so that means I don't get a reply?
You get no reply.
Jezebel knocks again. So no reply?
No reply.
Okay, I'm kicking down the door.
The door opens, even though it was unlocked the entire time.
Don't care. I'm kicking it open.
Why are you kicking?
I kicked down plenty of other doors, like as if this is going to be any different. I walk in and I look around. Charlotte.
Yeah, she's not there.
Not at all inside the. I thought you said she was in the workshop, so she's not there.
Yeah, she's not there.
Aye. Charlotte again tilts her head over with a sigh. She goes, "Oh, fantastic! Another one's missing."
Where could she have gone? She was
Hopefully
here.
ahead.
I could have sworn she was just here a minute ago.
Oh, she did say her workshop, but not her workshop. So
I cast locate object on her hat.
It's in the workshop.
Oh wait. I saw. Oh, okay. Oh wait. I saw. I would have seen that in her workshop. Okay, belay that on her shirt.
I'm actually trying to figure out where. It would be nearby, yeah. Wait for DM's ruling on that, I guess.
It's directly below you.
Just making sure. Yep.
So it's below?
Yeah.
Korax, are you gonna tell us that?
Yeah. I just pointed and I just point at wherever it is.
I guess we're heading down then.
Data glides down to check.
Rango's. You're already on the ground. There's no need to look below you. Rango speaks up and then says, "Or you could send her ascending."
I was like, what's going on?
We have a rabbit that's missing. Again.
I don't believe I was missing before.
Flora enters the workshop to look around.
Are the traps still active, Neku?
Yes.
Dex,
Uh-oh.
Dex save then?
Dex save. Well, she passes, but it was still funny.
That's probably not the first one she triggers, though.
Clara just, with that roll, Clara, you just walk straight into the workshop, and as you're looking around, many traps go off right behind you.
And this includes gunfire, by the way.
Clara just continues walking into the workshop, totally oblivious to this, and she's like, Charlotte, where did you go?
Korax just peers in. Is there like a trapdoor in the workshop floor?
Steeler?
Roll perception. Or investigation, I guess, would be either one.
Perception's my better one.
Okay. Yeah, there definitely
Hey.
is. You definitely see a trap door in the middle of the workshop floor.
Okay, I walk in, taking care to avoid the traps that Flora casually triggered.
Roll me a
And I
Dex
open up the
save.
trapdoor. Damn.
God damn it.
What, you mean
it-
there's traps that Clara missed?
It's Charlotte. She'd have 3 triggerable traps and traps for the traps.
I am that paranoid.
You take,
Okay.
you take full damage as an arrow shoots you through the knee.
It pause to lay on hands myself, and then I open up the trapdoor.
In the trap door, you see like a long tunnel. Deep is dark in there. And you see a faint light at the very end of it.
Well, it doesn't go too deep because it has to fit in the below ground of the actual liftable soil.
Imagine like an L, like it's down deep, but not too deep, but it's also gonna be like
Yeah,
deep,
there's a
like long ways.
yeah, there's a small ladder down, and it goes down a little bit, and then it heads straight.
I'm gonna head down to the bottom of the ladder. I'm just gonna cross my legs and wait.
Huh?
Clara's there
Clara's
too.
gonna go down the ladder too.
You hear various clanging and like metal hitting against another metal as banging
Yeah,
of hammers and such.
Like I'm just waiting with the charm. I'm just gonna sit there waiting.
All right.
I wonder what she's doing. Do you want me to take it to her?
No, don't disturb her. I got this.
Okay. Clara climbs back up the ladder.
So, how long are you?
Heads out of the building, possibly triggering even more traps.
Yeah, roll me another dex save. Charlotte, how long are you climbing for?
About 30 minutes or so.
Okay, what happens then?
Eventually, Charlotte is covered in soot as she walks up to the trap door and she notices Korax.
And if that trapdoor was meant to be hidden, you're gonna want to hide it better. Or she tosses you the charm. Wear that; it'll get you into the village.
Oh, thanks. It wasn't originally my trap door, to be fair.
And like it looks up and down at all the suit on her. Building a new doomsday device. Let me start again. Building a new doomsday device.
As far as my abilities are, I'm just making something new. Nothing dangerous.
Yeah. Anything you'd like to share, or are you gonna keep it as a surprise?
What would you rather be?
Is it something that could be dangerous to us if we don't know about it?
Oh no, of course not. I would never.
Then let it be a surprise.
Okay.
As climb up the ladder, and I hold up the trapdoor open for you.
Shall I climb up the ladder? Thank you, Korax.
My pleasure.
Oh, who
Immediately
activated
then.
all the traps?
It was Cora.
Roll me a dex save, Nick. Corax.
Clara turns around, looks at the room. She's like, "There were traps."
Okay, this was a simple rope trap. That's all it was.
So you managed to avoid it. It was the very last trap left.
This takes ages to set up.
Maybe they tell us, dear, that you actually have another room.
I just figured it out today. What do you want from me?
Cicada looks over to Cricket. Did you build that?
I made it to apologize for invading.
Okay.
So,
I'm gonna
Clara,
call for Charlotte Tunnel.
Clara takes a second look over the contents of this area over here, and then sees all the results of the traps going off, and she's like, "Oh, so there were traps. I'm sorry,
I'm
Charlotte. I didn't notice them."
Please
Charlotte
oblivion.
glared, glaring at Clara. I'm gonna make more deadly ones next time you enter here.
so
Are you
Uh.
trying to kill us?
No, just you right now.
What?
is there anything anyone else would like to do before you head to the village?
Just thinking of Cicada flying up, just straight up, just to survey the
Okay.
area.
You're at the edge of a forest. It stretches into the horizon. In the distance to the east of you, you can see a giant tower piercing the heavens. As tall
Okay.
as the mountains where you met the platinum, where you were at, where the Platinum Palace is.
Okay. She heads back down. But she didn't see the village, I imagine.
No, you saw a forest.
Yeah, it's probably hidden underneath the canopy or through magical wards.
You'll see.
So you all head
Do we
in?
want to do we want to do another scrying check before heading out?
No, I think we can just head out. We're okay.
You
I mean-
sure?
It costs us nothing.
It's okay. Do we see anything drying?
No, there's nothing around at the moment.
Okay.
So you all head into the forest?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Following Ryu, who knows the path, you all walk in a straight line, occasionally taking detours around trees. For all you guys can see, there doesn't even appear to be a path. You see wild creatures on occasion. There was a brief group of bandits that attacked you, but you all dealt with them. And you all just keep walking. After about a half-day travel, Ryu, you crouch down low and pinch a bit of the ground and take a sniff. And then you turn to the left and start walking in a straight line. After about another hour, you take another sniff of the ground. And this time you head back the way you came for about 10 minutes before you take a final sniff, and then you say, "We're here."
Here?
Yep. It seems look really convoluted, I know, but hey, that's how we protect ourselves.
You clap your hands and say something in Kitsune. And then the forest parts, and you're able to enter a small clearing, though the top is covered by trees. But the trees don't. The canopy covers it, but there's a clearing still. And you were able to enter the village. Cherry trees and lotus blossoms gently fall over the small, peaceful place as a stream runs through the center. Various foxes can be seen casually walking around alongside kitsune and yokai, all just quietly mulling about and doing their daily things. Some of them might be getting water. Children might be playing. And among those out and about in the town, you see 3 figures over the bridge.
Ren! What
You
is
see-
she doing here?
Let me finish. You see a kitsune with 5 tails. You see a brightly colored little red panther. And, of course, you also see their guard.
Along probably with Cicada, once she notices it, I'm pretty sure with Cicada she would cry, "Ren!"
Ren!
Oh,
There's some druid
What?
shit over
Wait.
here. Charlotte just squints in the background.
Ryu calls out after you, holding a hand out, and when he realizes you're gone, he just lets his hand fall to his side with a frustrated sigh.
Sorry.
I'm not.
Welcome to the village, everyone.
as you're all running past, being quite loud, a few of the foxes get startled and run away, and the more humanoid ones glance over curiously. And you see a fox and an Aarakocra poke their heads out of one of the rooms.
Yeah, Cicada doesn't notice her immediately. She's focused on Ren at the moment. Waving.
My name is Clara.
Ren will glance over and give a cheerful wave as she greets you all. Oh, hello! Fancy seeing you all here.
Clara's gonna go in for a hug.
Oh, oh, you're always such huggers. She hugs you back.
It's good to see you. What are you doing here?
Oh, Warlock. Kitsune in the village recently awakened as a warlock, and we offered to help train them.
Really? Huh.
Wait, really? Who?
A small little fox by the name of... Oh, what was it again? I think their name was Katai.
I understood that
that-
reference.
That shy little kid? He's a warlock? I had no idea.
Yeah, apparently, though we're not entirely 100% sure just yet, but it appears that a phoenix has given them a blessing of some sort.
Phoenix?
That took me a while to get.
But don't tell him this yet. It's still too soon. He's still far too young to be handling all of this.
Okay, okay. Secret's safe, but that's.
Oh, so lucky. Jezebel says with just a sigh, she goes, I would love to see a phoenix.
You, the five-tailed kitsune that is with them, points to Ryu.
Ryu scratches the back of his head and he says, I'm home,
Nope.
Mom.
No words. Hug now. She opens her arms.
Ma?
Yeah,
Jezebel says with a big old grin on her face.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. He accepts the hug.
Aww.
Laura joins the hug. Because she has no sense of decorum.
She looks to you, and then one of her tails lightly shoves you away, and then she resumes her hug.
Oh.
That is the correct response, ma'am.
Personal space, dear. This is mother-son moment, I hope you know.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm glad you're doing alright. I was a bit worried when your grandfather came by and seemed to be doing a little unwell. You know how that guy is. I swear he's higher maintenance than your siblings.
It's funny you say that. He's actually why we're here.
Well, I'm afraid for the information on where he actually went after, you want to talk to that Arakocra that's looking at you right behind you.
And then that's when
The-
Cicada actually looks behind her and sees her bird folk.
So said Arakocra steps out briefly and glances over to see Charlotte and over to the others, and she gives a gentle smile and she goes, oh, new faces. It's really nice to see you all. And
Hey.
one that I recognize.
Hey, Jezebel, is that
Right before you finish that sentence, Jezebel turns around, finally notices Rura, and she throws her arms up. She goes, and runs right to Rura into her arms. Rura expecting this as she opens up her arms and hugs the tiefling back.
I presume this is the famous Lady Rura.
Jezebel nuzzles against her feathers and nods her head vigorously yes to Korax. This is her.
My gosh.
and my friend Jezebel came along when she found out she was here.
Right, I'm sure that's the only reason. Your mother gives this knowing smile as she gives you a pat on the hand and then says, it's alright, we can catch up later. You have fun with your friends, alright?
Alright, I'll talk to you soon, Mom.
She nods. I've got to continue my conversation with these two about this phoenix.
That's a story I wouldn't mind hearing sometime myself.
She nods, and as you leave, the two go back to quietly discussing the matter. So, you see a wizened and somewhat older looking Arakocra with a peaceful expression. Behind them, an older kitsune looks to you all with sort of a little smirk.
Jezebel just continues to hug Rura, holding tight as the older Arakocra smiles at her, gently patting her head, and then looks to the others. I see that dear Jezebel has made new friends. Quite a few, actually. This is a surprise. Jezebel then looks down sheepishly.
Hello.
In spite of her best efforts, a lot of the time.
Hi, I'm Cicada. I'm a Kenku, even though I have wings now. It's a miracle.
Oh, that is surprising.
Correct.
A lot happened.
And I'm I'm Ryu. But Jezebel and I kind of got off to a rocky start, but we're getting along just fine now.
Oh dear, let me guess. She tried to hug you?
She, more like more like she's stalking me.
And is now being stalked in turn.
Jezebel, or not Jezebel, Ruba kind of grimaces and she looks at Jezebel. She goes, "You still have one personal space, have you?" And Jezebel just shrugs. She goes, "I thought he was an ally. I didn't know he was. He didn't know anything about you or the dragons." And Ruba just goes, "I'm pretty sure that's an excuse, isn't it?" And Jezebel just shakes her head, yes.
Yeah, she's. Yeah, Ryu shows Rura the amulet.
Rura,
Ah. Jezebel looks with it with recognition and almost like a bit of like a nostalgia look. I can see why she would make the mistake. Usually, only those that wear that symbol are usually allies that help me take care of steel dragons.
It was a gift from my grandfather.
Ah, yes. Jezebel now looks a little concerned.
Speaking of which, we heard he was here.
She somewhat lets go of Jezebel. Jezebel takes a few steps back, kind of noticing the concerned feel she's giving off. And Rura says, "He was here, yes. We spoke briefly."
Was?
Jezebel looks a little troubled, like she's not, or not Jezebel. Rura looks a little troubled for a second, and she gives a brief smile, and she goes, "You don't have anything to worry about. He's okay. He needs a little time, though."
Time to
It-
what?
Oh,
It.
Jezebel now
It's-
looks curious to the pink one. "I don't think I got your name."
Oh yes, I'm Clara. Nice to meet you. She gives her a hug.
Another hooker. How sweet.
She's like this with everyone.
It's-
Whether it's
I-
appropriate or not.
I'm used to it. Jezebel is a bit the same way. Plus, a lot of the other children I've taken care of are also very clingy as well.
Okay.
So
But,
it's true then. My grandfather's a.
Rura looks down a little bit sadly for a minute, and then she tries to give a smile as she moves over and looks to the other Kitsune, and she goes, "May we use your room for a bit? I think it's about time we maybe talk quietly."
I mean, that's fine. It's not really my room anyway. You know, I'm just here for the intermedium, so that's fine. I'll just go get some water.
I appreciate it, Rura says with a kind smile.
Who is that? That was in character, by the way.
Do you need me to tell you, Jezebel, or do you know?
I forgot the name, yeah. Mm-mm.
Ah, you forgot the name. Yes, that is very important, isn't it? A name is quite an important thing that it would be very bad if you forgot. It's Hadrick.
Yeah, because the DM forgot, didn't ya?
It's Hadrick. I told you what it was.
You had to look it up, didn't you?
No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hadrick, right?
Hadrick.
No, it's Patrick.
Anyway,
you're not doing that.
Hadrick. He's the one I usually come talk to when I come visit the village.
Sure.
He just gives me a couple of updates and this and that, as well as requests if any of the Kitsune need it. Whenever I get reborn, I usually try to make my usual rounds and come check on them to help my old friend.
Okay.
Yay. But Let's go inside.
Yeah,
Should
so
we do
Rura
a quick
motions
scry
everybody
check?
inside.
You head inside and find it's more or less built like a treehouse. There's a lot of bushes on the floor and the beds are all made out of leaves, but it's fairly nice.
Yeah, I'm going to try and use detect magic again just to make sure.
There is nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, so Rura kind of sits in middle of everybody as Jezebel takes a seat beside her, looking a little concerned, seeing how troubled Rura is. The slightly older Kaka just sighs, and then she gives Ryu a tender smile, and she goes, "You don't have to worry about your grandfather. We'll take good care of him, but just so you are aware, he's beginning to awaken and realize what he is. And yes, he is a steel dragon."
Called it!
I mean, is he taking it well? I mean, Jezebel warned me that Jezebel warned me that it was going to be bad for him.
Rura kind of sighs. She goes, "This is something common when dragons begin to realize who they are. Think of it this way. Say the person you thought you were for majority of your whole entire life ends up being a lie, or something that you didn't really expect. How would you take it?"
Not very well.
I suppose I'd be pretty shocked.
Indeed, that's unfortunately what your grandfather is right now. This is something very common that I've gone through for years, lifetimes. It's never easy since they need a moment to themselves to figure things out. And that is what he's going through right now.
I guess another important question is if grandfather's a dragon, then what about me? What about the rest of my family?
Ura gives a small giggle and she goes, "I'm afraid that'd be something you'd talk to your mother about, dear."
I see.
It's not my place to say. Usually I try to keep it the secret best I can, which unfortunately has cost me a couple of lives in the past. But in the lifetimes that I've been reborn and come back, I've learned that some things are not meant for me to say.
All right. I won't bug you. I won't bug you further on it then.
Jezebel waves her or Rura raises her hand. She goes, "No, no, don't worry about it. I'm just glad to meet Jezebel's new friends. She's usually always working by herself."
She was the one who found us first. And then we just kind of stuck with her for a while.
She
And
helped. She helped me. She helped me. He uh, ri- he get rid of the undead that were invading Appalachia at the time.
oh yes, I heard about that. You all actually took that on? That's actually quite impressive and scary.
Yeah. We done a lot of misadventures ever since.
I think
Jezebel kind of shrugs. She goes, "Took on a couple of hunters, try to find a portal out of another realm, and River goes, another realm?"
Rora made, I mean, Jezebel made a pact with an eldritch god.
"Oh, your father?" Rura says actually happily, and then Jezebel goes, "No." And then Rura looks concerned. "What do you mean, no?" And then Jezebel just smiles and goes over to Cicada, pulls into her hug. We have the same god we're following. We're both warlocks."
Yeah. I don't think we should tell her exactly who he is, though. I say telepathically to Jezebel.
Jezebel, in her mind, she goes, "Agreed. Don't mention it. Anybody." And then she says that to everybody else in their heads. Do not say the name.
What if she asks? I say in response telepathically.
I
And
don't
as
think you
soon as
can respond telepathically.
And
You
just as you say
can.
that, Ruru asks, "May I ask who it is?" She says with a kind smile, and Jezebel like grimaces. She goes, "Oh boy."
Chloe's like,
His
oh,
name is
it's
Cricket. His name is Cricket.
Yes, Jezebel says, starting to sweat a little bit. "Cricket."
So for reference, Chloe was like, oh, it's and then she
I-
just pauses for a good 2 seconds, and she says, I forgot.
River just looks very confused and a little concerned, and she goes, So
Don't
okay,
worry,
it's
he's
not.
nice.
Very well then. I'm probably better not ask." River says, still concerned, as she just looks to everybody. Although, and then she looks to Cicada and Jezebel. Those are some unique features you gained.
And that's actually not because of the pact. That's because, as the two of them, along with myself, got trapped in an Eldritch realm for a few months.
Excuse me?
If Aurora looks, she'll see that Korax X's eyes are faintly glowing.
There was there was an accident, and we were almost captured in the Underdark, and well, we had to. It was either it was we had to jump into a portal.
We got out,
Their patron,
and
and where we ended up, he points at and said Cicada and Jezebel. Their patron would refer to only as the nest.
Rua just blinks as she goes, I need a moment, if you don't mind. That's a lot. And you're all in one piece though, at least, right?
Chloe says, well, I'm sorry I can't give you more details, but they just vanished when I tried to say them.
Chlora was the only one who Chlora wasn't with us when we stopped the drow from in their portal magic.
And a good thing too, I do not need to know what a mutant Chlora looks like.
Just
That's
gives a
my home
troubled giggle.
dimension, so I don't think I would mutate.
yeah, she's
That
weird.
doesn't make me feel better, Chlora.
Even though stepping through the portal is the first time I've been there, but whatever.
Yeah,
Ah.
she's weird, even for Vulpin standards. Anyway,
Rura looks a
moving
little
on.
overwhelmed. As she looks, Jezebel, are you okay? You do know your father's going to freak out. And Jezebel goes, I already talked to him. It's all been handled, Lady Rura. Please don't ask.
Oh, is this
We're-
the Alex person? I think I've hugged him before.
So they know your father then. And Jezebel just nods and she goes, so you talked to him? Jezebel nods again.
He was very aware of Jezebel missing.
Whew. Jezebel sighs. Okay, Rura sighs. Okay, good. I'm pretty sure you all know this by now with knowing Jezebel. Her father is a little...
Worrywart.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
could
right
tell.
way to say that.
He and I have that in common, don't we?
Oh, so you must follow him then. Are you one of his followers?
Yes, I became a cleric under him while I was staying in Appalachia. He saved my life when I was young, you see, a little boy.
Jezebel kind of looks him over down. I think I might have remembered that. Or, my memories tend to get a little jumbled sometimes, but I see. And then she looks at Jezebel. And you became a friend with him before or after the talk? And Jezebel just kind of sighs. She goes, it's complicated.
It was before. We were all present for the talk. It was hilariously awkward for everyone present.
As Korak speaks, and with the subject of fathers on your mind, you remember something, Rura.
River looks curious and she goes, "Oh, she then looks over to Corax curiously, and the other. She goes, "I know you have all been a little busy, but have you heard any news lately about from the paper? I'm not sure if it relates to anybody or not."
We've not been in any position to read the newspaper lately. No.
We haven't been to any towns or cities since we left since we got out of that world. Well, aside from the Dragon City, but we only went to the castle.
Just River looks a little curious. She goes, "I wonder how long you were in there." I better not think about that. Thank you.
It was time was basically meaningless in there.
Indeed. You may not want to ask Lady Rura, Jezebel says, and she goes, noted. All right, so I guess maybe I should kind of keep up to date a little bit, Rura says, and she then says, "Does a name, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, Elize mean anything to anybody?"
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't. That's my family. What happened?
Oh, just Rura looks curious. She goes, "Your family?"
Corax Elize.
Then it clicks on you. That's what made you think of it. It was the family resemblance.
Oh, now that's why that name came up. Rura says with recognition.
In Corax Elize, current firstborn and heir of House Elize, although I don't expect that last part to hold much longer.
You know Corax's family?
The name a bit, yes, but I always thought that they had a son. Excuse me, I don't mean to be rude or anything.
What? It was wild magic happened.
Rura says in
I'm rolling with it.
in acknowledgement.
I think that's a story best told by Corax herself.
I mean, I just told the entire story.
Yeah, about magic.
Yeah, wild magic happened, and now they have a daughter instead of a son. Well, they have another son, but he's not.
The wild magic had to have come from somewhere, Corax.
No comment. But
Anyway.
But you said, but back on topic, you just implied that there was news about them, and what did they do?
Just one moment. Rura says, standing up, and she goes, "I know there's the paper that we saved. I have to go look for it at the moment. I'll be right back." Rura heads off to go look at the into like a spare room to look for the paper real quickly. While she does, Jezebel looks over to everybody and she just smiles. She goes, "Isn't she great?"
Yes.
The room she goes into is marked with a sign that says research. And it's filled with papers and books. All mostly recent stuff. Regardless.
Ryu goes up. Ryu goes up to Korax and quietly asks her, I suppose you're keeping the fact that Fiona's responsible all close to the chest.
If I remember the story, well, from what I can tell, Fiona was a companion of hers. That's a complication we don't need to add.
Fair point.
Did Jezebel overhear this?
I'm not sure. I need you.
I mean, Korax wasn't really trying to hide it.
So roll perception then.
Yeah. 1 sec. Not good with it. Oh, I actually rolled okay for once. Isabel just gives a glance over to Korax and Ryu and a bit of a narrowed look.
By this point, Rura found the paper. After all, it was pretty recent, and with how slow it is to get news this far west, you're able to find it up near the top, and you bring it out for them.
Ah, here it is. Rura says with a bit of a flutter of her wings and walks over and then hands the paper to Korax.
With a due sense of exhaustion and dread, I read the paper.
The heading reads, "A great evil has been purged from our nation."
I go on.
Following the discovery of connections to various underground mafia families and drug traffickers, Baron Elisay of House Elisay has been hung for treason, and his family stripped of all noble titles and banished from the city. His wife deigned to provide an interview. This is all untrue. The evidence was doctored. My husband would never try to assassinate the king and queen. We're loyal servants of the empire. Heartbroken queen, or false lies to assure her own guilt. One thing is for certain. With the advent of the surge of wild magic detected at the Elisay estate, dark magics with ties to Fiona were clearly involved in the affair. Let his death be our lesson, to never surrender to the witch of the Underdark.
What? Like, staring in.
Laura comes over. She's like, "What does it say?" And then she reads it.
Oh.
That's odd. He was alive like a week ago. I actually spoke to him.
What?
He's the only reason we knew where the crystal things were.
When is
Wait.
this dated?
Two days after Clara's visit.
Ooh.
Korax just staggers backward and collapses into the nearest whatever. Collapses onto whatever is behind her.
Korax! Are you alright?
Even Rura looks concerned as she goes over and kneels down. Easy. Deep breaths.
If it makes you feel any better, that particular subject was never brought up.
What?
Jezebel looks concerned as she snatches the paper from Korax and glances over it real quickly and then looks surprised. Oh dear.
Cicada also looks at the paper and is like, oh no.
What could have happened?
He did say that his connections said that there was a jewel thing in the Underdark. I don't know if that led
Did
to
they
any issues.
River looks a little guilty. She goes, I apologize. I didn't really read it. If I had known it was something like that, I would have given the news a little more tenderly.
Korax is just staring into. Hey, she's in shock.
Are you okay? Are you gonna be okay?
Well,
Charlotte says a bit coldly. Mafia families. Interesting.
I knew about that much. I was, well, basically blackmailing him to sever those connections.
Seems
It
like
looks
he hasn't.
It looks like they found. From this, it seems to suggest that they found out about your wild magic surges, Korax.
How they couldn't have detected it? How the hell would they detect that at our house? I wasn't even there recently.
It's
Maybe
a
his
question,
family.
isn't it?
Is there any chance is there any chance that the truth about you was leaked?
There's one other person who. Well, there's one other person. There's one other person who knows. It was my old wet nurse, who I accidentally exploded when I was a baby. She was resurrected and paid a princely sum for her silence.
Would she have any need to expose your secret?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to her in over 100. I haven't seen her since I was a baby.
well, at least you can rest assured that I didn't say anything about it.
Clara, that doesn't really help. Can you just stop for a minute?
I.
River looks to everybody quietly, and then she gives a soft nod. She goes, "No, everybody, take a breather." I
need
do
to find my family.
apologize for this.
I need to find out where they are. I need to see if they're safe.
Your family?
Only my father was hung. The rest were banished.
I never met any of your family members when we were at the High Elven City. I can't use sending.
DM, do I learn anything when I was in the Elven City, when I was looking for the abandoned house?
You did learn one thing, and I will tell you about it.
Okay.
That's what you know.
Okay. The town is currently on edge. When I was there earlier. Something about traitors lurking about.
What happened?
From what I understood about the rumors, and this is after me searching on my own way, I found out talks of mafias trying to influence the Elven City a little bit too much.
That much I did know of. As I said, I was basically I threatened to go public as a wild mage and more or less torch the family name unless he stopped it.
That is
You
true.
never, you
However,
never
it
said
wasn't just your family. Oh, okay.
Threw him under the bus as to cover their own asses. Then
Oh, well, maybe we should still try to check if all the rest of your family is okay.
What happened to like all the servants and such?
I mean,
Typically, they just
I
get either restaffed or rehired to other estates.
yeah,
Is
they're
it
probably fine.
possible that a servant may have done it?
To say
With
right
the buzz,
now.
with the buzz of traitors, it wouldn't be surprising. I'm guessing the city's military is also on stagnant from it too.
You all do recall. Actually, no. I want you all to roll me an intelligence check.
Oh boy.
Or history. Or
Okay.
history.
Yeah. That's the same thing for me.
just straight intelligence.
Or history.
Yeah, like so. Korax is right now operating under whatever the mental equivalent of adrenaline is.
Alright.
Is my explanation for this?
Clara, Clorax, and Jezebel. You will remember how densely packed the city was with guards when you visited. Way back when.
And the guards were on very high alert last time I was there.
Oh, I remember me trying to get over to the Thieves Guild. I had to be extra careful.
And I guess they were, and they must have been rather preoccupied with something else if they lowered their guard enough for my grandfather to get kidnapped by the drow.
Or thinks for a moment and puts some bits together. Do you think it might be related to the orb that we got the Thieves Guild? Maybe somebody bought some information?
Boy.
Jezebel gives a bit of a sigh, and she goes, "Well, since we know that Ryu's grandfather hopefully is okay, now that Lady Ruru is here, Foxy, you don't have to worry so much about your grandfather. She'll keep an eye on him. So if you want, if we go question is where. If I can find my contact, I can actually ask for information." So whether we go to the city itself, if it's not already more packed as it is, I could ask to see what exactly happened and see what they know. They'll need a fee, of course, but it could be something to do if you're that determined to find your family, dear.
If your family's been banished, though, you might not be able to enter the town.
And that will not be a problem for me.
Oh, yeah, disguise self.
And if we get caught, draws the moonblade an inch out of its sheath.
We're not
This
fighting
should
an
confuse
entire.
them.
That's not what he
We're
means,
not
Cicada. Let him finish.
Seeing me with this will I'll at least get to see what their reaction to that is.
What's so important about that sword?
It's a powerful and important artifact for my people, and it shows me. What their reaction to be to a disgraced exiled wild mage Who knows?
You hear the sword speak up and then say, well, I mean, you're not that disgraced. I chose you, so that would mean you're undisgraced, right?
Who knows, Galatine? Who knows?
Yeah,
Isabel
I'm not
takes
sure
her
I
head.
can talk to her.
Did you just talk to your sword, dear?
Yes, I believe we established this last night.
Just
We did.
double checking.
An enchanted sword.
Yeah, just double checking since on account that we have been, in that sorry, I got distracted. We were in that other realm for quite some time, so we never really know what else we've gained from being in there. She says as she motions to Cicada and the fact that apparently now she can hear insects.
Apparently, it's
Well, I
weird.
instead gained the ability to hear swords, so.
It's weird. I'm still getting used to it.
Alright, so what are you guys doing then?
Rura kind of holds up a hand. She goes, "If you want, since you guys have traveled all this far, you're welcome to remain here and rest for a bit. I'm pretty sure that, well, she gives a bit of a smile. I would like to catch up with Jezebel and possibly hear about some of these exploits," she says with a grimace. Jezebel just grins.
Oh boy. There's a lot to talk about.
Very well.
Indeed.
I'll set up a camp. You guys have fun.
Oh,
I
wait,
imagine.
dear. Rura says that she goes, "I didn't quite get your name."
Charlotte, an artificer.
Oh, Rura says, looking interested, "An artificer." So she points to everybody, goes, "Wow, you have a very diverse group."
We do.
Yeah.
Some of them are really nice.
Aw.
And then Charlotte
Rura's-
would head out then.
Okay.
Rura smiles, glad, and then looks over to Ryu, thoughtful for a second. She goes, real quick, dear, may I talk to you for a second? I have a quick question."
What a coincidence! I actually have one of my own.
Good. And then she glances to Korax. "Will you be alright, dear? Do you need me to get you anything?"
Corax?
And Korax is. Oh, no, not for now, thank you.
Yes.
Very well.
Oh, I see.
Just know if you need anything, just let me know, alright? I'll be
That'll be-
try to help best I can.
I will, thank you.
Rura gives Korax a nod with a kind smile, and then walks over to go to Ryu. And in the meantime, Jezebel then just gets up and she goes, "Let them have their talk. I want to go say hi to Ren again." And then she rushes outside to go see the red panda.
Don't wait for me. Kato follows.
Red senses a disturbance in the force.
Friendship.
I'm coming for that tail. I'm coming for that tail.
Oh god. Not again.
You set up camp with these Charlottes. Meanwhile, while they're assaulting a poor lady over her fluffy
Ugh.
tail, what are you?
Clara's trying to get to be socialized with this one.
Ryu?
Whether or not the RP happens is your decision.
I'll put Ryu. I'll hold off. Ryu? Ryu?
Yeah?
Roleplay?
Rura gives Ryu a kind smile. And she goes, "You know, your grandfather reminds me a lot of somebody I knew."
Jez- Come to think of it, Jezebel did. It mentioned there was that you that there that you and both you and Kagura had someone close to had someone close.
Rura looks a little sad as she gives a nod. She goes, "Indeed, we didn't know at the time that we were actually having the same person in our lives until later on. A bit of a shock, to say the least, but it also helped us become good friends. It was hard, though, but we had each other to kind of help support the fact that we lost that person that was dear to us."
I see.
Well, just know that your grandfather, I want to respect his wishes, and he asked me not to tell you where he went. He didn't even tell me where exactly he went. But know that he is okay. It just will take him time.
I understand. Just do what you can for him.
She gives a smile, and then she also kind of giggles a bit. She goes, "You know, his name is actually very close to the person who was special to me."
Is that so?
Yes, it's a little different. And, well, I know it's not him, but if you ever do end up finding him, do mention that I apologize, because I can't help but feel he looked so similar to the person that was very special to me. So I hope I didn't make him too uncomfortable.
Now that come to think of it, when my now that you mention it, when my grandmother, I heard a story from grandmother once that when Kagura first first met both her and grandfather, he looked like he'd seen ghosts.
Ghosts?
Yeah, the expression, and well, the expression you usually hear. Usually it means you the person means that there's someone that looks like someone you knew, someone that had passed.
She looks a little thoughtful, like she's thinking back to a conversation she had. And then she taps her chin for a second, and then she goes, and then she whispers actually a name to herself, or mumbles, but you can hear it. And she says, "Galatine."
Are you okay?
Um, hmm. She looks really thoughtful, like she's contemplating something, and then she goes, "Forgive me, dear. I have a question real quickly. Has your grandfather ever told you his last name?"
I believe I was told his last name was Tegman.
Isabel looks confused, and then more thoughtful, looking downward. "That wasn't the last name he gave me."
Pardon?
"Oh dear." Rua says that she kind of seems to get an idea, and then she doesn't know whether to laugh or to look concerned, and she goes, "Oh, this is interesting, huh? Hmm. Uh, so, dear, I will say this much, since this might be important for if you are." And she glances over to Korax. And then back to you, back to Korax. For you. Her feathers kind of fluffing up a little bit as her anxiety kind of shows.
Old feathers. No.
And she says, your grandfather told me his last name. And then she glances at Korax again. His last name was Galantine.
What?
I don't.
Galatine?
She glances over to Korax and she goes, "Oh, well, of course not there. My bad. I thought he was still there. My bad."
Korax. Korax is actually headed over to talk to Charlotte.
We'll get to that in a second. We'll just finish this scene up.
Yeah. Well, then I guess looks outside to where Korax started walking off to, and she goes, "That's the well, that was the last name that he gave me. He said." River looks concerned. I really probably shouldn't be saying this, but you are his family, and I am concerned for him as you are. Just say that I'll just say at least that he mentioned a little bit about his past and the fact that, well, he never told anybody his actual real last name because apparently it's he called it a black horse of the Evan families.
Black horse? You mean he was a pariah?
I can't say for sure, dear. I'm afraid when still dragons make their lives, I usually don't ask, or I can't control where they grow up from majority of the time, especially if I'm being reborn. Though I'm pretty sure, and she glanced over to Korax, I thought I heard Korax say it.
That he does. That is what he. That is what he calls. That is what he named that sword. Yeah, It's a strange coincidence, especially considering I had only heard it from Korax the first time I'm that day.
Uru looks a little more concerned as she goes, well, not that it's any of my business exactly, but it didn't quite hit me until later, especially since your friend was a bit of a shock seeing that paper. But perhaps talk to her when you have a chance. And for your grandfather, once he returns, or if you want to go look for him, you're more than welcome to do so, but perhaps ask him about it. It seemed like it was a bit of a trauma for him. But you are his family, and he does care for you quite a bit. And I can see you also care for him very much, too. She actually gives him a small smile.
I've stopped at nothing. I've been stopping at nothing to ensure his safety this whole time.
Her smile brightens a bit, and she goes, just like what I do. Whether you knew it or not, you actually are a bit of an ally, helping to protect the dragons, just like me.
Well, when you think about it, the Kitsune and the Steel Dragons have a lot in common. We're both a hunted race.
I dedicated all my lifetimes to protecting not only the dragons, but also those that I can help. Being only one person isn't easy, as I'm pretty sure you know that.
Yeah. But Kagura's been looking after the Kitsune for the most part, hasn't he?
Do I know that or not, DM?
He's been
Kagura,
doing it for 100 years, so I'd imagine you would.
Kagura has been helping the Kitsune, and like the entire island that is mayhem still exists, and it's currently, prospering and all that. But he has his hands full, pretty much ruling that kingdom.
She gives a bit of nod. She goes, "Indeed, he's been very busy ruling an entire island kingdom." Yes, same thing. He's been working very hard, and that's why I'm here in this area. Not only for the steel dragons here, but also to, as you can see, touch in with not only the steel dragons that are here, but also the Kitsune for him as well, since he is also quite busy too.
I guess that makes sense.
Kira gives a smile with her wings kind of like fluttering behind her happily, and she goes, "Still, it's good to see that you do care for a lot for your grandfather and your grandfather back. Just when you can, perhaps just kind of mention it to Korax a bit about this. Because if that sword is in relation to the name, there might be an interesting link."
Yeah, that's really hard for me to just chop to a coincidence.
Mm. She gives a nod, and then she also smiles as she goes, "Also, if I can make a small request, watch out for each other best you can. As someone who was once a slave for a good couple years and was rescued by somebody who taught her how to be truly free and make her own friends, true friends, I speak from experience to say that you need to hold them as close as you can."
Actually, I just thought of something. Didn't you say hey the didn't you just say the name Galatine? Was a black horse family among high elves?
That's what your grandfather told me.
Meaning they're outcasts.
Usually that's what that term means, so I want to assume yes.
Korax is always in danger of being outcast from the high elves for her wild magic. Maybe she relates.
She gives a smile again. She goes, "Well, definitely something to talk about with her, right?"
Yeah, I'll I'll bring it up to her.
So, anything else you guys need to talk about, or can we move to Korax?
As a
think I'm
matter
good.
of fact, Ryu. After a moment, Ryu, who gets a serious look on his face, and he says, "As now for my question,
Yes, what is it?
why does Kagura call himself a Nethwa?"
River looks a bit curious to his question and tells her, she goes, "Well, he's always been one. Ever since I met him years ago."
No one had ever even so much as heard of until heard of him until he showed up. He showed up out of the blue, who stopped the calamity with the rest of you, who and then went on to become went on to make sure the kitsune were protected.
River looks a bit confused. She goes, "You make it sound as if this is a bad thing. Is everything all right?
Sorry, it's just I've been I've been I've been compared to Kagura a lot since I was a child. Everybody, I guess everybody had some expectation of me. He, living up to his example. I, but, and I just never thought I had, just never, or, I've just, I guess I've been harboring some resentment towards him for it.
Ah, Rua says in an elephant, and then she gives a bit of a trouble. She goes, I'm afraid the reasoning is a little complicated. Because the place that he and I and my comrades hail from, that's a long story. I'm afraid that it would be very, very difficult to talk about at the moment. I mean, if you have time, I can try to tell you, but it's a long and complicated story.
So, why don't you tell that long and complicated story? Corax!
Charlotte,
Charlotte's currently fixing up one more tent, and then she looks over.
you said that it wasn't just my family. Who else?
Ah, I don't have names in particular. I just heard that they're trying to rat out all the traitors in the city when I was exploring.
Because I don't think it takes I don't think I don't think it takes a genius to see what happened here. They threw my father under the bus to as to cover their own hides.
Isn't that typical of nobles, though, to a degree?
Sure is.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound rude about it, but that's just how I see it in the end. They did cover themselves up, and your father was a good scapegoat, especially with a daughter that has wild magic, and that's been confirmed. The fact they knew about it, though, was the startling bit.
It said they detected. It said they detected a surge of it. I have never called upon my wild magic at home. Not
Yes, maybe not. Good.
For for there to have been a surge of it, it would have had to have happened recently.
My only guess this might be another family member of yours.
Possible.
You guys did say that it was born with wild magic, correct?
Yes.
Could it just appear suddenly in one day, perhaps?
Well, maybe. Wouldn't be wild magic if it were predictable.
That is true. I would say it might be one of your brothers or sisters that are still there.
I have one brother, two sisters.
I heard any news about your brother, it might have been him. Charlotte chuckles at the thought of him. But regardless of who it is, this is the end result of it.
Yes.
What will you do now, Corax?
I've gone my entire life having my life basically planned out to me. I was going to have an arranged marriage. I was going to take over. I was going to inherit control of the family. I was going to just be an elf noble. That's all gone now. She just sits down back to a tree. I don't know what I'm going to do now.
So, an elf that just lost all their goals, everything that was given to him, and now you're wondering what to do next.
In the immediate future, I want to find my surviving family and make sure they're all right.
Oh, that's a given. Charlotte nods. I'm sure that with them escaping, they'll be okay. It's not like they were killed outright. They would be banished. So they should be in a nearby city if so. Worst case, right?
Maybe.
I would relax on that part. I'm sure they're alive and they're well. Or at least alive. I'm a little cynical, I'm sorry. But they'll be okay.
Well, my it, well, my youngest sister is, well, she's wandering around in the east right now. I doubt she even knows this is happening. My other sister is probably drowning her sorrows as we speak. and, and as for my brother, well, you know, getting to see how the kind of mental breakdown he's probably going through right now is going to be the one silver lining in this whole mess.
Yeah, he's kind of insufferable.
Charlotte would look up to the trees and then look back to Korax. Well, my goal has always been the same. But I cannot speak for you.
His connections to my father, and
What were you going to say? You cut off.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I do know that my father kept records of everything, even the illicit stuff. I wonder if the other families did the same.
If they were as remotely as thorough, they probably would have some leads, yes.
Wonder how everyone would react if those records got nailed to the front door of the palace.
Would you dare to even attempt that?
What have I to lose at this point?
Well, you still got your life, do you not? I wouldn't waste it off that.
Well, if I do this right, there'll be no risk of wasting anything.
I'm looking into the mafias too. I want them to pay as well. It seems that they've taken stuff from you as well, though, in a way. Without their connection with your father, you might never have lost so much.
I don't know about that. Apparently, rumors were already swirling that I completely missed.
In the end, correct. So, well, that is my goal. If that means it'll help your goal, then so be it. Call it a partnership for now. How about that? I get information on the mafias. You get to frame all the other nobles that denned your father in.
Sounds great. Holds out her hand for a shake.
Charlotte would take it.
Nice big handshake.
Also, another thing, I never really mentioned this. I have a lot of respect for you. Especially with the move you pulled on your father to begin with.
You flatter me.
Charlotte just makes a small smile and goes back to setting up the tents fully.
Korax is gonna help her on account of right now what she wants is a distraction.
Right.
Any last things you two want to do?
I think we're leading off there.
Alright. Clara, Cicada, and Jezebel. Anything you two want to do, or are you still fawning over the red panda?
Clara
There
was
is one-
trying to socialize with someone's mom.
God, why?
She's just staring at you like you're an alien.
Not incorrect.
She's not incorrect. Yeah.
No,
She
not
doesn't
really.
know that though.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, once all of that is done and we eventually reconvene, Cicada would like to announce something.
Before that, you guys done with the roleplay there? Nothing you want to do amongst you three?
Really, no.
Okay.
Not really. So Clara just got nowhere with it then.
She was polite up to a certain point, after which she just said, "Yeah, I'm gonna leave. Goodbye,"
Okay, bye.
and just walked away. Alright,
Okay.
so back to Ryu and Rura then. I was coming back to you guys. I just wanted to double check on those guys because we hadn't done anything with them for a bit. So, Ryu, you have heard Rura's insane story of time travel and a giant dragon.
As Rura finishes, she's just trying to smile, even though it looks more like a grimace, while sweating and waiting for his reaction.
I
So yes, she says a bit of. I know that there probably have been stories about or tall tales, this and that, and like that, about certain aspects, or how the island of mayhem, appear suddenly like that. Some slightly true, maybe a little exaggerated on the part of my savior's fault, but yeah, and she looks a little embarrassed when she says that. He has had a very, very bad habit of over exaggerating in his writing.
everything. I find that almost impossible to believe. Kagura, my descendant, from 400 years in the future.
She kind of gives a bit of a shrug with a smile. She goes, "Yes, it was surprising to us too, and I know very hard to believe, but I've been told very often by my big sis that I am a very terrible liar. So you can trust my words."
I can't believe I'm saying this, but it all makes sense. How why else does mayhem look so why else would that island he rules over or look so much like the wildlands, or how you guys would have even known that the calamity was going to happen, and calamity was even going to happen, much less be there to stop it, like you knew it was going to happen ahead of time, because in your world it did.
Brooke seems more relieved as her shoulders slouch a bit and her wings kind of like flutter a little bit as she relaxes. She goes, "Yes, that is the reason why. And I understand that due to this, it has caused you a bit of grief because of my friend Kagura, but know that, one, perhaps it wasn't a tale that I should have said, so I do need to apologize to Kagura later. Yet, I could see that it was greatly troubling you. So, to at least offer you some peace of mind, I told you the reason, and I really hope that this helps a bit."
In that case, I think I have something for you. Ryu reaches into his bag and pulls out the book. Look, pulls out the book that he's been carrying with him, the one that detail with details eerily similar to things Rura had just described to him. And he hands it to her, saying, "I think this belonged to your savior."
As he pulls out the book, and the thunder crashes, Rura jolts. And not only does she look a little horrified seeing the book, but also the fact that she recognizes that thunder. And again, the thunder again, and she goes, "Oh dear, you actually have that?" And she just looks, it looks like as if she's blushing just
Oh
seeing
no.
that.
You also realize that now Fiona and Alara are going to be doing a thunder competition right in the forest again.
Happening.
I think I'm missing a lot of context here, even with all you said.
She looks a little frantic as she glances outside and she goes, I think a couple of my friends are probably really upset at saying that. Especially because she doesn't know whether to look actually a little bit happy, but also just super, super flustered and embarrassed. She goes, "You are correct. That book did indeed belong to my savior." Thing is though, he has, like I said, a very interesting habit of
Exaggerating.
yes.
Exaggerating. I know. I know what you mean, but the details are striking. The details to this story and yours are strikingly similar, or either way. So,
Oh dear.
as for
River then rubs her hands on her face. Yes, and also that book was more of like a fan fiction that he wrote.
I think Jezebel called it the same thing.
Oh goodness, yes, and it's actually a little bit embarrassing. The fact that you also read this, I apologize.
It's fine. It's been it's one of the things that inspired me to go out on my own, actually.
Oh, she seems a little to calm down just a little bit, even though she does spare a bit of a glance behind her outside in annoyance, hearing the thunder, and then back to Ryu, giving him her attention. She goes, "Well, that's good at least." Despite the fact of his over exaggerated words and extremely embarrassing habit of shipping me with other. Anyway, she just shakes her head and she goes, "I'm glad at least you enjoyed it. Because it's our story. Me, my comrades, my savior, how we all came to be, and how we came here. All of it true."
So, wait, you mean you didn't lose this? I found I found it I found it at the library when I was performing an exorcism as part of my shrine keeper training. They couldn't recognize the book, so they just let me keep it as a keep it in return for my work. And for a moment, I assumed that you would just simply, when Jezebel, looking back, Jezebel did mention you visited the village periodically, so I just assumed maybe you left this behind by mistake one time.
Perhaps, River says with a bit of a sad smile. Unfortunately, my line of work does tend to get me killed sometimes. I'm able to be reborn thanks to the wish I made years ago. But the thing is, though, is that when that happens, sometimes I don't return for quite some time. Whether it's because I need time growing up or because a lead I have has to make sure that I stay away from this place. So, as you can kind of see by Hadrick's research room here, I tend to sometimes either I leave stuff behind or he gathers stuff for me instead.
I see.
Bit of a
Well,
chaotic mess, but yeah, he assists me sometimes in gathering information I think that might be of interest.
Well, I guess now what I want to ask is, do you want this back? I mean, I know it's probably really embarrassing to you, but it still belonged to somewhat important to you.
She gives a bit of a brief smile and she goes, well, it is important to me, I guess, but the thing is also is if it inspired you to go adventuring like that, I wouldn't mind you keep it if it'll help you continue on your journey.
In that case, I'll hold on to it for safekeeping then. How does that sound?
She giggles and gives a bright smile. She goes, that sounds good. Besides, I still have my memories of him. And that alone gets me through the hundreds of lifetimes I've lived through.
I'm sure your saver was an amazing man.
He was the best, even though he had a very bad habit of eating a lot of dragon chocolates.
Dragon chocolates?
Oh, Jezebel or Rura actually perks up as she looks actually really happy. Yes, indeed. They're Dragon's favorite meal, and they were his particularly, even though he did get a little obsessive with it that he'd hide it in his room very often.
That sounds unhealthy.
Oh, it was indeed. I would
Speaking
try
of
to remind him constantly, and he just would not listen. He was very stubborn.
speaking of him, don't think he'll mind if I you don't think he'll mind if I reach him with a saving right now, do you?
A what?
You don't think he'd mind if I used sending to reach out to him right now, would you? Do you?
Out of character, sorry, I didn't know you said sending. I thought I heard something else. Why did I hear something else? Okay. Um, River looks off while she
Because
goes,
he did say something else. He said saving. Anyway, continue.
she looks off while she goes, send him your thoughts. Let him know that you understand that he needs a moment, but that you're here for him. Usually, those that have been awakened, hearing their loved ones' voices usually helps them, at least reassure for a bit until they find their way.
Then I'll have I'll wherever he is, I'll be sure to let him. I'll be sure to try and help him as best I can in that way, in any way I can.
Rura smiles and beams happily, and she goes, you're a good grandson.
I'm a kitsune. We value our family over everything else.
She giggles a bit. She goes, you actually just, in a way, sound like Jezebel. She told me the same thing.
Oh yeah, the she she she's brought up her brother many times, and I think she's only just now starting to reconcile with her father over it.
Good. Rura sighed as she throws her head back. Oh my goodness, I've been so upset with Alex lately about some of the things he's been doing with his family. I've been trying to give him advice. Oh. And then she suddenly realized, she goes, oh, I'm sorry. I he's been frustrating a couple me and my comrades lately with his decision making, but I've been trying to also reassure him best I could, because having his daughter kind of where he thought the moment hate him really hurt him a lot, than he would say.
He he wasn't wrong. She was. I don't know if I would go so far as to say she hated him, but she certainly was mad.
Oh, I know. She would rant to me quite often about him. And don't get me started on her mother, Rura says, holding her hands up. Even I know how scared she is.
Especially when she's expecting.
That's right! Ruru says happily. I overheard. Oh, I wonder if she's born yet.
And something about a unicorn.
Ruru covers her big. She goes, she's still saying that? Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I think Charlotte even has a device that plays back that very thing on her with her.
A device? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
it has it captures your voice and plays it back. And she just happened to catch Jezebel's mother yelling about a unicorn.
So, I'm gonna quickly pause you guys there. Is there anything anyone else would like to do before we wrap this session up? Because we're already over time.
Yeah.
It's just one
Yeah, I
small thing.
noticed.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can continue that roleplay in the roleplay chats, Cicada. We'll say they
There's just
finish
one
their
small-
chat and return to the others.
Okay. Well, just one thing. Cricket decided to teach me something new, and would like some of your permission to write names on this particular page of my book in particular.
What does it do?
It protects you from dying or
Oh.
going unconscious, but I can only write a certain amount of names in it.
The exact way Cricket described it is, it stops them from bleeding to death. I figured
Jezebel
it
do
might be
grins as
useful
she hugs.
since you all have a habit of bleeding everywhere.
We're
Yeah,
mortal, dear. That's what we're supposed to do.
This is what he said to Cicada.
Yeah. He said, and I quote, "It stops you from bleeding."
Okay, Clara goes ahead and writes her name in it.
So that's Clara's name in it. I can write 3 more names into it.
Jezebel gives a bit of a start. She goes, well, you're welcome to write mine if you wish, but it's also your decision, dear.
Well,
You
how about this?
have
On
to
a
be the
scale
one to
of
write.
on a scale of 1 to, let's say, 100, what would you say everyone's vitality is? What would everyone say their vitality is?
We'll say you guys figure that. We'll say you guys figure that out later, and you write whatever names you write in the book, just to speed things along because
Okay.
we're over time. You can sort that out in the chat afterwards. Any last things?
Alrighty. Now that's it.
All right. Then with that, we will wrap this session up. Thank you all for tuning in. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.